is this concept of a social safety net. It doesn't sound like the concept of a social safety net is compatible with this idea of limited government.
Yeah, but think of it this way. What if I came over here and you have a lot of employees, and let's say that I worry about your company and I want to have a social safety net for your employees. Well, it's the environment that provides your prosperity, and I'll bet people don't worry about a safety net when you work for a good company, because there's more wealth, there's more generosity, more health benefits, and people are better off. So you want the safety net to be provided by strong companies.
Suppose people don't have a job.
Well, there would be a lot more jobs under my society. There would be very, very few people that would be out of work. Because there would be greater incentives, there wouldn't be a welfare state, and so the poverty would be greatly reduced. But then again, we have to look toward the 19th century and the early 20th century, how many people were out in the I mean, we have never, in a capitalistic society, ever have seen people starving. It's only under socialism and welfarism where government takes charge of this, taking charge of making sure that they have education and medical care and housing. And that's why today we're seeing the collapse of the housing bubble. Who's losing their houses? The poor people who can't meet the requirements of making their payments. So the government was well intended to give houses to everybody, but all of a sudden the people on the margin are losing their houses. So yes, if you really care about people and you really care about a humanitarian approach to government, you have to believe in free markets. It's capitalism that eliminated child labor, eliminated poverty. You do not have famines in true capitalism. You will have poor people. You're going to have people that won't have medical care.
Right.
But,
I was just going to ask about medical care. Aren't there some...
Today, if you're a burn victim, probably any part of the country, but especially in Texas, you can go to the Shriner Hospital in Galveston. And nobody gets turned away. I started medicine in the early 60s. No government. I worked for $3 an hour as an MD in an emergency room. Nobody got turned away. It was a church hospital. Nobody asked him what your income was. And today, everybody gets charged the maximum because there are no charity hospitals anymore, and the government's there. So and they have a lot of burdens. There's extra expenses and demands that aren't legitimate, and so therefore they have to charge the maximum. If they're not on Medicaid, they put them on Medicaid. So it's a bad system.
Did the market create the charity hospitals?
Sure, freedom does. Freedom does. Who created our great universities early on? Not the government. Our churches did, and other private institutions. So, and we undermined all that. That's what we've been doing for 100 years. We've been systematically undermining a system that was a real blessing to us, that gave us our great prosperity. Today, we still have a lot of prosperity, but we have a lot of debt, and it's based on debt. It's the fact that this country can't even operate. Congress could be brought to its knees, which means the dollar and the country could be brought to its knees if we couldn't depend on the Japanese and the Chinese loaning us money at a good rate. So as long as they're doing that, we're going to have this pseudo-prosperity, but it will come to an end. As a matter of fact, we're in the early stages of seeing that happen because we see the dollar weakening dramatically right now. I mean, we're hitting 30-year lows with the pound and historic lows for the euro, and they're not very good currencies. So the only true test is what will your dollar buy. And quite frankly, if you're on the margin, if you're low income or poor, your inflation tax, your lower standard of living is much more serious than those in the middle class, high income people, because inflation is no big deal. But if you care about the middle class and you care about the problems you ask about, you have to talk about sound money. You have to talk about making sure governments can't pretend that they can deliver you all these wonderful things if they don't have enough money. They can't tax us anymore because there may be a tax revolt. They can't borrow anymore. Maybe the Chinese won't do it. They just print the money. I mean, it's the most foolish economic issue I've ever heard of, and nobody asks any questions about it. And then they say, oh, yes, the price of medicine is going up. It must be those terrible doctors. It must be the hospitals. They're the ones who are at fault. But what happens in the marketplace where there's electronic technology? Prices go down. And the modern age should have driven the price of medicine down. Telemedicine and these things are very helpful and all, but it's one area where prices don't go down, they go up. What about education? The government's involved in education. Prices go up. That's the result of the inflating of the money supply. The supply goes up, the value goes down, it has to go somewhere, it has to hurt somebody. The tragedy of this is it hurts poor people. And it wipes out eventually the middle class, and that's why you've had these turmoils in many nations, and we're not immune from it. Everybody will be affected if you have runaway inflation. Just think of what happened in Germany, with runaway inflation. And people should be much more concerned about the integrity of the money. And to me, it's an economic issue, it's a moral issue, but it's also the reason government can grow in a sneaky way.